Hi, as you can see, I've gone and I've logged back into my ESXi console. So I've navigated to virtual machines, and here are all my VMs. And in a production environment, you could have hundreds of VMs. Normally there would be servers. You might have desktops. It all just depends. But if I click on my Windows 10 virtual machine, and let's say you wanted to protect that virtual machine, you could click on Actions, and we can come down to Snapshot, and we could say take a snapshot. And I'll just call this snapshot. I'll just call it snapshot. Normally what you would do is you would put a date, and that way you know what it is. So I might say snapshot Win 10, and of course I could copy that and put some notes in. I could say copy and paste that in there and put some notes, and I could put today's date, which would be the 30th-4-22, so I know what it is. And I would say take a snapshot. Now what it's doing, it's taking a snapshot of my VM, and it will protect my VM. So if something happens, I can always roll back to that previous snapshot. And if I scroll down here, you can see things that are happening within my environment. So again, you'll get this warning here saying we need to install virtual machine tools, and we'll do this shortly. But again, we're just taking a snapshot of our VM, so if things do go bump, we can actually restore that VM. Again, if I click on the CD DVD drive here, you can see this disk is still mounted. I could select another image if I wanted to. I could also right mouse click over here and come down to the edit settings. And I could also come over here and say I'm not using the data store anymore, I'm using the host device, and click save, and that will now get rid of that ISO, so I don't have any ISOs in place. And if you look here, it says create snapshot, and you can see at the top here it was successful. So we have got a snapshot in case something goes bump. We can always restore. Again, if I go to actions and we go to snapshots, because I've taken a snapshot, we can go ahead and we can say manage snapshots, and this tells me where I am, and I could actually click that snapshot if I wanted to, and I could say restore snapshot, and that would restore the VM back to the state it was in prior to the snapshot. So it's a good way to create backups, you know, on the fly, in terms of just as you are working with the VM. But we're not going to restore any snapshots at the moment. If we wanted to edit that snapshot, I could click edit and change the name of that snapshot. So there's a few things that we can do, and we can do the same with our Linux machine as well. If I went over to the Linux machine and I said actions, I can go and say take a snapshot, and I'll just call this mint snapshot. And I could do the same thing. I could copy a name and put a date in there, and I could go ahead and say take a snapshot, and this would go ahead and take that snapshot. And if you look at the bottom here, it says it's reconfiguring the VM at the bottom here. So again, it's taking that snapshot, and we just need to wait for that snapshot to complete successfully. And once that snapshot has completed, we should see it pop a message pop up here. So again, we get this message with Microsoft saying we need to install VMware Tools, because VMware Tools really does help the machines run a lot smoother. Again, coming into your actions here, coming back into snapshots, and you can say manage snapshots, and it'll tell you where you are with your snapshot. If you didn't want that snapshot, you could just go along here and click delete snapshot, or if you select delete all, that will delete all the snapshots. So you can have multiple snapshots of your VM sitting in your console. Again, in a production environment, most companies would use third-party products like Veeam backup and replication to back up their VMs, because it's so powerful, and it's so easy to use, and it's affordable, and again, it's an amazing piece of software. And I use Veeam backup and replication in my environment. I'm not trying to promote Veeam, I'm just trying to tell you what software is good to use and what works. So Veeam works really nice, and Veeam works both with Hyper-V and with ESXi and vSphere. So hopefully that'll give you a basic understanding of how to create a snapshot. Again, if you didn't want that snapshot, we just go to the virtual machine, we click actions, we come down to snapshots, and then we can go ahead and we can say manage snapshots. We can select that snapshot and we can say delete that snapshot. That will remove all of the snapshots, and we just say yeah, remove it, and that will go ahead and remove those snapshots for us, and we just give it a bit of time and that snapshot will remove from the system. Remember also, when you're creating snapshots, you're also using up storage. So these are things that you will learn as you dive deeper into learning VMware, ESXi, and vSphere. Again, this course is just to give you that foundation so that you can get up and running with ESXi, VMware. You can explore it and get your head around it and see if you like to get a certification in it. It's something that I would recommend doing because VMware is very, very big, and just about all the companies I've worked with have VMware or Hyper-V or both running in their organization. Again, we can go ahead and click refresh. This will refresh our machine so that if we can see any changes. Again, the nice thing about this, we can just go and add memory on the fly. If I clicked edit settings, I could come down and say, right, I'm going to give you 5 gigs of RAM. I could just type in 5 and click save. And you know, the memory needs to be, obviously because this is an x86 version, I can't upgrade to 5 gigs of RAM. So I've done this on purpose just to show you that 32-bit operating systems, VMware knows it's a 32-bit operating system, and it tells you you can't upgrade it to more memory. But most operating systems today are 64-bit operating systems. If I went over to my Linux machine, which is a 64-bit operating system, and I went to edit, and I said, right, I want to change this, I can change this to 5 and click save, and I get no error. That's because it's a 64-bit OS or 64-bit technology running in the background, not x86 or 32-bit. So hopefully that gives you a great understanding of how to create a snapshot and what snapshots do. So again, we can go ahead, we can also consolidate our disks and consolidate snapshots. If we had a lot of snapshots, that's where we would run consolidation. So again, I can say manage snapshots, I can select that snapshot, I can say delete that snapshot and remove, and that would remove that snapshot from that virtual machine. So that covers snapshots, and I look forward to seeing you in the next lab.